Minnesota Senate Committee on Capital Investment will come to order. It's Thursday, April 23rd, 2026 at 3:30. Since Senator Limmer is in the room, please, why don't you come forward and we'll start with you. And you have the most important people here on the committee to present to, me and the staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I certainly recognize the importance of the august body before me. Senate File 5155 is before you, and I want to thank you for allowing myself to present this bill. This is an extension to the previous appropriation for railroad crossing safety improvements in my district. I want to thank you for the support previously in 2023 to fund this project. I, along with my community, are very grateful for that. The benefiting communities are relying on multiple funding sources to complete the project. But due to delays in the other funds outside of their control, they have not yet been able to use the appropriation from the state and are asking for an extension of 2 years. I was planning on having Loretto Mayor Kent Koch to give more details. I don't know if he is on via internet.
Great. Would you like to go to Mayor Koch now?
Yes, I would.
All right. Mayor Koch, welcome to the committee and proceed with your testimony and introduce yourself again, please.
Thank you, Chair Pappas and committee members. My name is Kent Cook and I'm the mayor of Loretto. Thank you for hearing Senate File 5155 today for railroad crossing safety improvements that affect 3 cities, Loretto, Medina, and Independence. And thank you to Senator Limmer for authoring this legislation. On behalf of our community and partner cities, I would first like to extend my sincere gratitude to this committee and the full legislature for funding this regional project in 2023. I'm here today to request a 2-year extension of the appropriation. While we fully remain committed to the responsible use of state dollars, the project timeline has been delayed due to circumstances out of our control. There have been increased costs, required coordination with the railroad to complete the work, and material availability constraints. We are also awaiting a determination on potential federal funding. Thank you again for the initial appropriation and for considering our extension request. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your time today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Always challenging, Mayor Cook, when you're dealing with the railroads.
Yes.
Yeah. No, thank you for your testimony, and thank you very much, Senator Limmer, and we'll lay this over, but be sure to give it due consideration.
Well, thank you. It's good to see the mayor again. Thank you, Mayor, for your testimony.
So we all thought your last bill was the reviser's bill, but this may be it.
My work is never done, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Limmer.
Thank you.
We don't have anyone else here.
No, and I can't share.
We'll be in recess while we wait for other members to show up. Committee is in recess. We have Senate File 3839, Senator Port. Welcome, Senator Port.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I appreciate the committee's willingness to hear this bill. Senate File 3839 authorizes $200 million in housing infrastructure bonds and makes no policy changes. HIBs are a critical tool and the state's largest source of capital for developing and preserving affordable housing. It's a proven program that leverages millions of dollars in both public and private resources to help build and preserve affordable housing. This tool is highly regulated and awards are distributed statewide in a balanced way. We know that when we invest dollars in HIBs, the results will be more people and families being able to live in a home that they can afford. On average, the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency is only able to fund 1 in 3 applications that they receive for HIBs. There are many more competitive, shovel-ready projects that the state has funding to support, but we can keep the pipeline moving with investments this year. I've also included $50 million for HIBs in Senate File 203, my housing omnibus bill, sitting on general orders, and look forward to discussing the critical need for HIBs with the committee today.
Thank you, Senator Port. Like many of us in the legislature, I'm a big advocate for manufactured housing, and it's just my understanding, and you can correct me certainly if I'm wrong, that out of the $500 million that we've awarded to the HIBs program in the last couple years, only $7 million has been advocated for manufactured housing. Is that something that in your committee that you're also discussing or paying attention to?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It is. It's a big concern for me because manufactured housing remains one of the only truly affordable, naturally occurring housing options for people out there. And those investments, particularly HIBs investments, can be critical for that infrastructure, for parks to remain in good upkeep and operable, for residents to have, just safe roads to drive on and sewage that doesn't back up, things like that. I think it's a critical need, and it is something that I'm discussing in my committee and am still in discussions with the agency about the idea of not necessarily earmarking HIBs for a specific entity, but to require them to do a certain percentage of the HIBs for manufactured housing, because I do believe that this is just such a critical need across our state.
Thank you so much, Senator Port, because that could be, housing is so much more affordable, especially if the owners don't keep raising the rent, as we've heard a lot of stories that they've been doing. We have a testifier in person or online? We have a testifier online, and that is, I'm just looking at my notes, Kelly Law. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair Pappas, members of the committee. My name is Kelly Law, and I'm a Senior Policy and Field Building Manager with the Minnesota Consortium of Community Developers. Our members are nonprofit affordable housing providers, and they support the development of housing across our entire state, and they house our local workforces, seniors, families, and people exiting homelessness in need of supportive services. I just want to say that I'm here to support Senate File 3839 to invest in housing infrastructure bonds. Because of new HIBs authorized in 2022, Alliance Housing was able to transform a 1920s era office building, now called Kyle Garden Square, into 59 units of permanent supportive housing for people exiting homelessness and earning very low incomes. Residents received on-site critically needed supportive services from Touchstone Mental Health, and because of those services, they will be able to maintain a safe and stable home. This incredible housing property and countless others like it are only possible because of our state's investments into HIBs. And I'm sure many of you have heard this, but right now housing operators are facing a slew of sort of unprecedented challenges that are largely beyond their control. These include increases in operating costs and rental arrears, significant challenges with public safety, and dramatic increases to property insurance costs and the coverage. So we know that if we fail to invest in housing, we can risk losing decades of public investments into the affordable housing sector. I like to say almost every time I testify, while there isn't one single solution to solve our state's housing crisis, there is a relatively simple way to solve our housing shortage, and that's to preserve what we have and build more. We're super grateful to Senator Port for including HIBs in her housing omnibus bill. I'm excited to see that come to the Senate floor, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Law. We appreciate your testimony. And Senator Port, we understand that the Hibbs bill is being carried in the housing bill, which it was, I think, in the past. The governor sent it to us in our bill, and we also have an interest in appropriation bonds. Members, I wanted to call to your attention a memo by Ms. James that's in your packet that is a discussion of state-issued appropriation bonds, which Hibbs housing infrastructure bonds are considered appropriation bonds, for your information. And if we don't run out of time, we might have Senator James go through that with us all today. Did I call you Senator James? Yeah, I should, after all the years you've been here. Any other comments, Senator Port?
Thank you, Chair Pappas. You know, I wanted to make sure that Hibbs was had as many available paths as possible, because we know it's such a proven tool and so flexible to be able to meet the needs that communities are bringing forward. So I really appreciate the committee's time today and continued discussion on moving Hibbs forward this session.
Thank you, and thank you very much. Any questions from members of the committee? Then we'll also be laying that over. Thank you, Senator Port.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chair Pappas, go ahead. We've got, what is it? Is it council document? Okay. We've got a council document SF 4254.
Yes, Madam Chair. Sometimes the modifications come in a little last minute, and we weren't able to get this one jacketed and out of the revisor's office in time for our final hearing. But I have with me today the founder of the Sanneh Foundation, Mr. Tony Sanneh, who is here to request a language change. They've been having some issues with MMB, and that the original language that we did in 2023 did not clearly enough describe the project. And so we're adding the language that is just for inquiring property, and that would also include workforce and human development participants in programs. And maybe we could turn it over to Mr. Sanneh to tell us a little bit about the Innovation Center.
Mr. Sanneh, go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason why we wanted to reclassify is the money here is not going to cost the cost of the building is more, and so we've spent money in other buckets, but it's just more complicated to give different reports, and so it just makes it easier because we agreed to buy the property in January. We closed on it yesterday. We still weren't able to get the state to move quick enough with checking pre-design, design, and everything. So if we just allocated the money only to acquisition, it would make the transaction easier in the reimbursement. And then the other change would just be usage. And they've been very clear for the life of the building, what is it to be used for. And there was some talk about the programming that we do is we hire people in workforce development programs. And so there was, they wanted more clarity around, did they have to work in the school versus be an AmeriCorps member? So they just changed the language. They advised that we change the language to workforce participants and not just people that were school-based, et cetera.
And
Thank you.
I was going to ask Mr. Sanneh a question. Where is this property located?
This property located is 711 Glendale. It's off of University Avenue on the corridor between and St. Paul. And there was also some things that took longer time to acquire the property because we'd been in negotiation with the previous administration in St. Paul. And so now we're here.
Thank you, Mr. Sanneh. Members, any questions or discussions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. And Chair Pappas?
I think that's fine, and appreciate you coming.
Wonderful, thank you. We're going to lay this bill over for consideration. Chair Pappas, we have another one from you for council document SC 4258, providing notice of state contribution for capital project.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was just a change in location that I didn't know about, so I was asking about the new location. With some of our other state-funded projects, whether it's the legacy bill or the lottery bill, we do, the arts and cultural funding, we do require a logo or a sign. And so the idea was brought forth that maybe we should also require that with bonding projects, so that, especially when local governments receive state dollars, that they are aware that this project, especially a sewer project or a water project or any project really, a building project, is partially funded by the state of Minnesota. So what this legislation does is it just requires any projects that are funded by us after January 1st, 2024, and probably it's going to be mostly projects we fund this year because we didn't really fund too much last year, that they have to have a sign if it's a building or if it's a water infrastructure project, have it on their utility bill.
Thank you, Chair Pappas. I remember that from a few years ago.
Right.
And that was
The
really
idea's been
great.
floating around for a while, Madam Chair.
Yeah. Members, any questions or discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and take that bill for consideration. Lay it over. Thank you, Chair Pappas. And next we have Senator Xiong up for Senate File 5190.
Thank you,
Senator
Madam.
Xiong, thank you. I just had to find the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I have before you Senate File 5190. It would cancel a prior appropriation for a community facility in North St. Paul and reallocate those funds towards a proposed new municipal water tower. Following a facility analysis and feasibility study, the city determined it was not in their best interest to move forward with the original project. This proposal instead focuses on a critical infrastructure need that would improve water pressure, storage capacity, and system reliability for residents. I have with me the city manager, Brian Frandell, to walk through the details.
Welcome, Mr. Frandell. Go ahead and proceed.
Thank you. We did bring our city attorney along with us. He's going to kind of go over the gist of it. If we have any technical questions afterwards, I'd be happy to answer.
I think you need to move a little closer to the
I
microphone.
apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, our city attorney is just going to go over the gist of it, but if any technical questions, then we'll be available. We also have our city mayor here.
Okay, would you please introduce yourself, then we don't have your name.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Jack Brooksbank. I am an attorney with the Campbell Knutson Law Firm, and I have the honor of serving as the city attorney for the city of North St. Paul. As mentioned, we have City Manager Brian Frandell and Mayor John Monge with us as well today. I'm here to urge you to approve Senate File 5190 for the reappropriation of some funding away from a community center and towards a water tower project. This was originally appropriated in 2023 for a community center improvement project. Since that time, the city has spent quite a lot of time, energy, and resources on research and feasibility studies for that project. Learned through some of those feasibility studies that the condition of the building, as well as unavailability of some partner organizations, was going to be significantly more expensive than anticipated, cost overruns on the order of about $3.5 million. In addition to the ongoing operating funds necessary to keep the building open, it just became financially infeasible for the city. We've identified some other critical infrastructure needs that the city still has that we are turning to you now to try and get funding changed over since none of that money was spent as part of those feasibility studies. So it all should still handled with the state. The primary need that the city has identified is for an upgrade, replacement of a water tower. The current water tower was installed in 1946, so it is 80 years old, and is necessary in order to handle the current water needs of the city of North St. Paul and its residents. This includes providing drinking water, as well as potential fire relief services. This is an identified need that is current. This is not a future nice to have. The city is already using more than its current capacity in its existing water towers. We already have areas of low pressure within the system that this water tower would help to address. Additionally, this is a project that we've identified for some time but been unable to complete using only city resources, which is why we're turning to the committee today. But we have done some significant work on that, and that includes some engineering, siting, and water study plans that have been produced by the city. So we already know exactly where this water tower is going to go. We know exactly the size of the water tower that we need. We know exactly what type of water tower is going to be installed. This will be a 750,000 gallon composite water tower. So it's a concrete pedestal with a steel base on top, or steel tank on top. That was selected both for it is the size that is required by the system, and also that kind of a composite water tower is substantially less expensive over the lifetime of the infrastructure. Additionally, because this is being constructed on a site that the city already owns, this is an efficient project that can begin relatively quickly, will not have any property acquisition costs, and because we've already done some of that preliminary engineering work, the state funding can be used relatively quickly and quite efficiently for a real identified upgrade to the citizens of the city of North St. Paul. With that, I would stand for any questions.
And the third gentleman standing, I forgot. Are you the mayor? Would you like to make some comments, Mr. Mayor, then?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here, sit down.
And please introduce yourself.
Sure. John Monge, Mayor of North St. Paul. Thank you. Well, appreciate the time. So with our water situation, we've been struggling up on the north side of town just because of the volume, and we're able to do that with. So it was one of those where we're able to have the property ready, and it's going to help the residents, the water pressure, and just be able to give us some breathing room when it comes to the tank, because it's well overdue.
Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and maybe this isn't to you, Mayor, but Senator Pappas, I've been on here for 10 years. Have we repurposed something like this before? I know usually you have like 4.5 years. It goes back to the fund, and then we would put in through another project. So I've never seen us directly change one from one project to another in this type of a process. So can you comment, is this irregular? And I'm not saying the project's bad by any means. I actually like the water project better than the other one, to be honest, but I'm just curious if we've done this before, redirecting, or is it typically goes back after so many years of not using it, comes back, and then we would redirect it after that. So can you just talk about that a little bit?
Senator Jasinski, although it's not common, it's also not rare. We have done it before on some projects where the local community has decided that maybe they couldn't come up with the match, or their priorities changed. I think in this case, the city council voted the project down, that they no longer wanted to pursue it. So, and then we have allowed then the local legislator, when it was the local earmarked, then to present an idea to redirect the funds. I think we did that with an Osseo project. We're trying to do that with an Osseo project. I don't know if we've ever completed it, but I think not yet. And we have done it with other projects.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And do you know which one it was, or do we recall which one it was in the last? I don't remember it happening in my 10 years, so I'm just curious if we've done this in the last 10 years or not.
I don't know if I could go back 10 years, because we didn't do a lot of local projects before 23, but we could certainly look it up and get back to you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we can have the staff do a little search.
And again, I'm not against the project by any means. I'm just
Yeah.
procedurally asking if we've done that before, if that's the proper procedure, how that's done. So thank you.
You're welcome. And just to be clear too, is we did vote it down 4-1 as far as that, because by the time we were done, we're a lower to middle class town, and it was another $3.5 million for 13,000 residents that we would have to try to come up with plus the number of years that we'd have to keep the building up because of the grant and things like that. So it just, we just looked at it and it just became one of those things where it just wasn't feasible for where we're at.
I think maybe going into it, you didn't know that we require a 50% local match.
Yeah,
And-
even, yeah, at first it was
Sorry.
looking like right around that, but then it just kept skyrocketing. Correct.
The cost of the building, yeah. Right. Okay, any other questions from members of the committee? Then thank you very much. We'll lay this over for consideration.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
you,
I'm
Madam
sorry,
Chair.
I did forget one thing, that for the water tower project, we do need to have an MMB form. You likely did that for the community center project, and we don't have that in our files. So you check with our staff if you're not sure what that is, but we need that as soon as possible. Great, thank you.
All right, thanks again.
Next, we have Senator Dibble. Senate File 3879.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members, for the opportunity to present Senate File 3879. This would be a proposal to amend the Constitution of the state of Minnesota that would then allow, should it pass, the state to issue bonds for public information technology systems, licenses, and infrastructure. Madam Chair, it appears to be a simple change in language, but it would represent a profound modernization of how we invest in systems that actually deliver the government services that we provide in the 21st century. Madam Chair, the problem that we face is that our bonding system was designed for a different era, works very well for roads, bridges, buildings. However, it doesn't work very well for digital infrastructure that now powers nearly every single public service we provide. There's been much discussion of health and human services systems that date back to the 1980s, which are fragmented, very difficult to maintain, very costly to patch together, and are increasingly incapable of delivering services efficiently to Minnesotans. And they're not just outdated, they actively hinder the delivery of care, benefits, and services that people rely on every day. Under current constitutional interpretation, general obligation bonding is limited to public capital improvements, which has been interpreted to mean physical infrastructure, long-lived tangible assets. So when we propose IT investments, it's perceived and we're told that that is not permanent enough. But that really no longer reflects the reality where data systems really are infrastructure, cybersecurity systems are infrastructure, and eligibility systems that deliver benefits are infrastructure. So this change would propose to allow the state to finance all of the elements that go into standing up those IT services. It does not mandate bonding for IT. It simply gives the legislature the option, in a slightly different part of the section, of course, but that wouldn't trigger the 3/5 majority threshold for bonding. Madam Chair, I just want to emphasize that I'm not entirely 100% invested in this particular change, but I do want to open up the conversation about the fact that we have a lag in IT infrastructure being woefully out of date. Many jokes, of course, about the fact that many of the systems that our Human Services Department use that then interface, of course, with our counties that administer the actual delivery of these human services themselves to the front lines, to the people who need them, are concurrent with Oregon Trail. And for those of you who don't know what Oregon Trail is, that was a very early computer game that I used to play when I was in high school in 1983 on a little portal that connected to the University of Minnesota, where we answered all little questions one by one, attached to the University of Minnesota mainframe, and this little story, this little adventure would happen. Very old computer systems that are decrepit and are, if you've been on the field trip with the committees that have visited the counties to see how that actually works, or seen some of the media, just to enter and and make sure that one individual qualifies for a particular service or program. It's many, many screens of entering information with codes, and a lot of information needs to be entered multiple times, and the stability of the system is highly suspect and highly questionable. So at a minimum, we need to have a conversation about not just getting into the annual general fund scrum and attaining general fund appropriations in the tens or hundreds of thousands. We need to finance these improvements and really put some dollars on the table so that we can, within the next year, 2 years, 3 years, really bring those systems up to the modern standards that we would expect, that would provide a real tangible outcome. I do fundamentally believe that we can issue public debt for these kinds of systems, even if they're not a literal appurtenance to a building, something that attaches to a building, because they do represent infrastructure that has value, that's identifiable, and has sufficient length and duration over a period of time that it would be appropriate to finance these kinds of improvements over whatever given time the debt service requirements would require. But at a minimum, wanted to open up the conversation around this whole subject. So that's my bill.
Senator
my proposal.
Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Dibble, for bringing this forward. Every county I've met with in my district, this is usually their #1 priority, so I totally understand the need. A little nervous of the precedent we're doing by changing over from buildings and infrastructure, but totally understand. I think it's a great conversation to have because, again, it needs to be replaced. How we fund it, I guess, but thank you for bringing this forward and starting the discussion on it. All my counties are asking for this, so I'm supportive of the idea of somehow to get this MAXIS system replaced, so thank you.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a concern with adding this to the Minnesota Constitution, and a few concerns. And I come to this as a member of the Senate Human Services Committee, and I have sat with the county social workers and looked at their antiquated technology. And it is really antiquated. But that is a choice of legislators, right? In previous legislatures, perhaps legislatures to come. And if we want to fix it, we just have to make those choices. And I go back to 2023, we started that budget session with an $18 billion surplus. We had the money to fix MAXIS. We had the money to address the IT infrastructure concerns, and the legislature chose not to. And I would say the administration also chose not to. There has been money set aside for upgrading some of these systems, and the money just continues to sit there. And Human Services, the Department of Human Services, continues to not act and to put out a roadmap for how we can upgrade these services. But beyond that, I think there's a couple other concerns I have with adding this language to the Minnesota Constitution. One is that it actually makes these types of investments more expensive over time. I think we think by bonding for something, it makes it cheaper. It might make it cheaper in terms of the cost that we'll pay this budget cycle, but if you add on the interest costs over time, it actually makes these investments more expensive to the state, not less expensive. And that's why we have a very narrowly tailored list of items that we bond for. And one of those key principles for our bonding is it's on capital investment, the name of this committee, on assets that are going to be around for a long time. And when we build a new bridge, the hope is that that bridge could last a generation or two in service of Minnesotans. And that's why it makes sense to spread out the cost of that investment over time. But the language in front of us is very expansive, including licenses. That could be an annual license that the state of Minnesota pays for access to technology. That's not a capital investment. That's just an ongoing expense. And I worry that by including this expansive definition, we will also crowd out capital investment dollars for the core infrastructure needs that we have. Imagine if this language was already in the Minnesota Constitution and we were looking at putting together a bonding bill. This would crowd out investments for wastewater, clean drinking water, roads, bridges, our colleges and universities. And so I look at this and say, yes, this technology is important to invest behind. I support that. We need to take action on it. But I worry by having this be the solution that we're going to undermine key investments going forward. And sometimes we just have to make tough choices around what we want to spend money on. And I would say the legislature has failed to make tough choices to prioritize this infrastructure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm going to call on Senator Nelson, and then we do have some testifiers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just add briefly, I appreciate the conversation. This is a conversation that we need to have. We've been having it in some places for some time, but I'll just briefly list a couple of my concerns and then perhaps speak after we get to hear the testifiers. I do wonder about the mechanism of the GO bonds, first of all. I don't know that GO bonds would be, that this would be eligible for GO bonds. And then secondly, and I also think I heard the bill author state this too, constitutional amendment itself might be a problem in having a constitutional amendment directing the use of GO bonds. So I look forward to the discussion on why this is needed. We know this is needed. I have some ideas we can talk about later, but so on to the testifiers.
Thank you so much, members, and we can certainly come back to our conversation. So we have online, I believe, are these all online? Mr. Matt Peabody, not all, but Matt Peabody, are you in person or are you online? There he is.
I'm online.
Welcome to the committee, and please just reintroduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Matt Peabody. I'm the Director of Information Technology Solutions.
Mr. Peabody, you need to move a little closer to your microphone.
Okay. Give me just 1 second if that's okay.
You sound a little jumbled.
Is that any better?
That's better, thank you.
Thank you. I also serve as the chair for Minnesota County IT Leadership Association. I'm here to testify in favor of Senate File 3879. Over the past decade, counties have made strong investments in technology, IT staff, and cybersecurity capabilities. The state, through Minute, has also prioritized technology investments, especially providing technical resources and guidance to us local governments. These investments have given Minnesota a good baseline, but as recent cyber attacks on local governments demonstrate, we could and should do more. Counties' current funding models include using grants, one-time funding sources, or operational budgets through local levies. These funding models have kept IT systems running, but many have fallen into disrepair. Senate File 3879 would allow state and local governments to conduct long-term planning for those systems replacements. Minnesota also uses bonding to fund roads, bridges, because their failure or disrepair is unacceptable. We strongly believe IT infrastructure falls into this category, and it's also considered critical infrastructure, and many times it's woven into those other sectors. Other states, such as Massachusetts, have already taken this step, authorizing over $1.6 billion in bonded IT and cybersecurity investments, including funding for local governments. Simply put, we believe Senate File 3879 gives legislature another tool in its toolbox to ensure our IT infrastructure is well maintained and also kept resilient against cyber attacks. Wanted to thank Senator Dibble for bringing this forward and the committee for allowing me to speak today. Happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Peabody. Are there any questions? Then I'll go to the next person online, Denise Schmidja. And I think I massacred your name. If you want to reintroduce yourself. Smidja.
Thank you, Chair Pappas and members of the committee. You were close. My name is Denise Schmea. I am the Director of Data Leadership for the Education Partnerships Coalition of Minnesota, or EPC. I am here today in support of Senate File 3879. EPC is a bipartisan coalition of 9 cradle-to-career partnerships across Minnesota. Together, we work with more than 600 local organizations and support over 300,000 young Minnesotans and their families. Our shared goal is simple: to ensure every child and young person in the state has the opportunity to succeed. Our work spans greater Minnesota, the metro, and urban communities. Leaders from red, purple, and blue communities come together around outcomes that matter: economic mobility, long-term self-sufficiency, and opportunity for Minnesota families. A core part of my role at EPC is leading the development of a statewide integrated data infrastructure to support cradle-to-career outcomes. This work focuses on strengthening data systems within and across agencies so Minnesota can better understand and improve education to workforce pathways and expand economic opportunities statewide. Our goal with data is to ensure communities have access to aggregate data that is accurate, accessible, timely, and actionable. Data that supports locally led decisions and meaningful action, particularly for young people and families underserved by existing systems. Through repeated conversations with practitioners and policymakers, the message is clear. Minnesota's data systems need updating, and data must be easier to access and to use to evaluate program effectiveness. To achieve this, Minnesota must expand investment to public information technology systems and data infrastructure. These investments help ensure public services are designed around the people who use them, can adapt over time, and ultimately strengthen trust, accessibility, and outcomes for all Minnesotans. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of EPC and the communities we serve. We respectfully ask for your support of Senate File 3879.
Thank you, Ms. Shemaya. Are there any questions for her? All right, thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite forward the three Humphrey Policy Fellows, Sarah Erickson, Nabiba Mohammed, and Kenny Nehmeyer.
Take this one.
Good afternoon, Chair Pappas and members of the Senate Capital Investment Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Sarah Erickson. I'm a 2025-2026 Humphrey Policy Fellow, and in my day job, I'm the Manager of Workforce and Economic Development at the Minnesota Chamber Foundation. I'll be honest, bonding for IT infrastructure is outside my normal wheelhouse. When I first heard about outdated government systems, it was from two social worker friends commiserating. But over the past year, as we embarked on this project and met with city and county IT directors and other stakeholders, I began to understand the true severity of the need. Our interest may have started with HHS software, but the issues beyond just the county systems, our city water treatment, our EMS systems, our school portals, our tax information, and just a few are the systems that we're advocating bonding for. And increasingly in my day-to-day life, I've noticed the issues that these systems cause. At work, I hear stories of business owners and HR teams struggling to navigate state portals with difficult, confusing, and extremely limited user interfaces. This costs real time and money that can be better used elsewhere. And these costs are also true for our county workers who spend countless hours trying to input data into 50-year-old systems. From the staff time required to paying for Social Security number monitoring after cyber attacks, this lack of investment costs significant taxpayer dollars. Several Minnesota cities, counties, and school districts have been victims of hacks which risk resident data and cost student instruction time. Beyond the waste and increased costs, the inconsistent standards and limited interagency coordination creates oversight issues. The Office of the Legislative Auditor has consistently found that outdated systems and the lack of data sharing has contributed to fraud, waste, and abuse. Finally, the legacy systems and old infrastructure lack modern features, making updates and integration difficult. And limited budgets often delay critical system improvements. This issue is particularly acute for small and rural communities with a limited tax base. It took decades of disinvestment to create the vulnerable and disjointed systems that we see today, and we must improve how we fund cyber infrastructure across every level of government. As our lives are increasingly online, our government systems need to meet resident demand and protect citizen information. I urge you to support Senate File 3879 as it provides a real long-term mechanism to modernize our IT infrastructure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. Next, we have Ms. Mohammed.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Nabiha Mohammed, and I am a Humphrey Policy Fellow and a Director of Programs at HealthGuard Partners, a small assisted living provider. I'm here today to express my strong support for Senate File 3879. In the assisted living setting, providers depend heavily on the effectiveness of state IT systems related to eligibility, licensing, authorizations, reporting, and service administration. Unfortunately, the current IT infrastructure is outdated, and that reality impacts directly day-to-day service delivery. At the provider level, we are often required to document and verify the same core information across county assessment systems, state billing systems, and internal care documentations that are not fully integrated. This results in
The committee is in recess. The committee will come back to order. Hopefully that poor lady's okay. I'm not sure what happened exactly. It looks like she tripped and fell. So I'm sorry, please proceed with your testimony.
Sure. At the provider level, we are often required to document and verify the same core information across county assessment systems, state billing systems, and internal care documentation that are not fully integrated. This results in repeated data entry, manual reconciliation of records, and an increased risk of documentation errors, all of which take time away from direct resident care. We also see this challenge in the coordination between licensing and billing systems managed by MDH and DHS respectively. MDH issues and renews licenses. Providers must submit updated documentation DHS through the MPSC portal to maintain accurate billing status. There is often a lag between MDH renewal and DHS recognition of that updated status. This oftentimes delays billing and directly impact provider cash flow. These delays affect staffing stability. These issues are not isolated administrative inconveniences. They are system-level gaps that create inefficiency, increase provider burden, and directly affect financial stability and service continuity. Senate File 3879 is important because it strengthens Minnesota's ability to make long-term investments in the IT infrastructure that health and human services depend on, including funding to improve system integration and alignment across agencies so systems can communicate more effectively. That means less duplication, fewer delays, reduced administrative burden for agency workers, providers, and a more stable, coordinated experience for the individuals receiving services. For these reasons, I respectfully ask for your support of Senate File 3879. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mohammed, for your work on this. Next, we have Mr. Nehmeyer.
Thank you, Chair Pappas and committee members. My name is Kenny Niemeyer. I'm also a Humphrey Policy Fellow with this wonderful group. We also have 2 other group members that have been working on this with us. And I'll just share, in addition to what my team members have talked about, some other stories that we've heard from county leaders. We did talk to Min-Kitla, Mr. Peabody online. We heard beyond some of the systems that were mentioned, water treatment, traffic signals. There's things like public building access and software that environmental health inspectors use to carry out their work. So really these systems touch every level of local governance, which is a field that I've worked in. And as of currently, those systems are paid for through city's tax levy. So as Mr. Peabody mentioned, Senate File 3879 adds to that toolbox of funding sources. So I did just want to mention some additional efforts that I heard from the senators and the committee that there's an interest in talking about this issue. So from the groups that we've spoken with, I wanted to highlight some components of this greater puzzle of cyber infrastructure systems that we would want you to consider. So those are creating workforce development initiatives for IT staff to get more people into this profession so that cities can hire and retain workers. Direct Minnesota IT services to provide guidance on how to follow the spirit of our data management laws, and support the emergence of more IT consortiums that we have some already, Logis and Metro INET, but supporting emergence of consortiums in greater Minnesota, so a regional emphasis in greater Minnesota. So with that, I'll also voice my support for Senate File 3879. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the 3 of you, for this great work. We have this excellent handout. I think you've really highlighted a serious problem that we're aware of, and I'm not quite sure we're at the solution yet. I feel as it's very difficult for us to meet all the deferred maintenance needs that we have in our state, plus help all of our local communities that have water and sewer needs. So I'm kind of jealous of that amount. As Senator Dibble and Senator Jasinski and Senator Ann Johnson-Stewart, also on the Transportation Committee, know that we share a guideline with trunk highway bonds as well. So that's another kind of competition that is out there for GO bonds. But you have certainly brought forward a very important issue that I think Senator Rasmussen articulated quite well, that we do need to be paying attention to. But I don't know much technology really that should. It probably does go longer than 10 years, but how often do we upgrade our phones? Every year, if Apple desires that we do, but I don't think I do that. But certainly, the technology is just moving so fast, and when we sell bonds that, even if they're bonds for 10 years, you know, is the technology even going to last that long? I mean, I know we have systems that are more than 10 years old, for sure. And that's part of the problem, and you identified a huge problem. Any other comments or questions from members of the committee? Senator, sorry, I'm sure I have your name down, Hemmingsen-Jaeger.
It's okay. Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the creativity. We just heard one from Senator Wicklund in state and local government this morning. So I have another creative idea too. So it's an important problem. Thank you for highlighting it. Thank you for being here and just talking about this. So,
Madam Chair.
Senator Dibble.
Is everyone, I was just going to do the final word. If
Yes,
everyone,
do the
all right.
final word.
Great, thank you. You know, I don't want to necessarily restate everything that's been expressed. I respect Senator Rasmussen, Senator Nelson, everyone's perspective. Those are all valid critiques. I maybe even share in some of those critiques. But I think what we're trying to highlight, of course, is how far behind we are. And this is major infrastructure. The type, you know, we don't appropriate straight up, you know, pay as you go or whatever you want to call it. You know, straight up infrastructure of most of the major infrastructure that we need as a state or even local communities, whether those are bridges or highways. We bond for much of these things. And it could be geo-bonding, it could be certificates of participation. It's just another form of bonding. It's supported by what we call lease payments, appropriation bonds. You know, Ms. James and I have talked a lot about appropriation bonds and what are they and do they count against our, you know, overall debt portfolio or not for the purposes of what we're going to do in geo-bonding, you know, similar to the conversations that you and I have, Madam Chair, on truck highway bonding or even revenue bonds. I don't know what the source of revenue would be in this particular case, but all of it is financing for the kinds of things that do have the long-term benefit over a period of time that makes sense to both get what we need in the door sooner rather than later, and have that extended benefit over a period of time. So it makes sense to beat inflation in some cases through, you know, paying for what we need today and you know, benefiting from our very low interest rate that we do as a public entity, and has the long-term kind of what we call intergenerational benefit. We share the cost across a number of years. And it solves this problem that we have, which of course is the really, really inefficient delivery of core services that ultimately costs us a lot more money. So then we're that much more ahead of the game. So I appreciate the opportunity to present this concept. Look forward to hearing about certificates of participation. Maybe we'll have another conversation about appropriation bonding for IT infrastructure. I don't think we're going to be appropriating out of the general fund for this kind of thing, because that's not how we, you know, in a lot of instances pay for, you know, tangible infrastructure that has, you know, something that we can, you know, even this building we're in, I think was done through appropriation bonding. So I think we need to grapple with what our debt portfolio looks like and what it pays for. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I just wanted to ask Ms. James maybe to point out on the memo, would something be comparable to electric vehicle infrastructure on state property? We did that in 2020. Would that would we used appropriation bonds for that? So is there the potential to use appropriation bonds for technology that, you know, I don't know how long electric vehicle infrastructure lasts. Ms. James.
Madam Chair and members, the issue about the life of the entity is less of a concern with appropriation bonds. That's a question about whether something is a capital expense, and we care about that for geo bonds more, typically for that paragraph A item, and also for tax exempt status. But it's not as much of an issue with the appropriation bonds.
So Senator Dibble, we are having conversations about the use of appropriation bonds. I think you have another bill coming up that is requesting appropriation bonds, the Emergency Shelter Facility Grant Program. Is that an AP request? Yeah. And I think that from the other body, they're talking about MAXIS with appropriation bonds. Yeah. Any other comments from anyone in the committee? Sir Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, a great discussion. Again, I'm concerned about just as Senator Rasmussen is, but the great discussion is good. Just remind me, someone from HHS, what approximately is the cost to replace this MAXIS system? I don't remember or recall. I'm not in those meetings. I remember hearing something about it in one meeting. Is it 300 and some million, or what's the rough number if anybody has one? Just curious. Again, I agree with Senator Rasmussen. This is concern of squeezing out other projects, but I just want to know what the dollar amount the MAXIS system is.
Is there someone in the audience who can address that? Looks like. I'll excuse the students then. Thank you so much for your testimony. Welcome to the committee, and please introduce yourself, and you can address the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Matt Hilgart. I work for the Association of Minnesota Counties. It's a great question. We do not have a specific number yet, but you can assume that it is in the lower hundreds of millions threshold. Now, the important thing here is that, especially with relation to MAXIS, there is a high likelihood of Medicaid eligibility funding. The federal government holds program kind of match dollars available for investments in IT infrastructure and Medicaid eligible projects that range anywhere from 65 to 90% of project match. So the shock and awe, of course, of $100 million plus ticket for just one of the systems that we're talking about is there, but you have to assume also that as long as the advanced planning documents and proposals are approved by CMS, they will be eligible for significant federal match dollars, particularly in relation to Medicaid eligible systems.
Senator Nelson. We are done with the testifiers, and actually on our agenda, Senator Hemmingsen-Jaeger actually has a bill about MAXIS. So maybe we should take her next. Sure.
Yes.
I think we have to just take Senator McEwen next. Senator Nelson, go ahead with your question.
Madam Chair, I will save my comments both about Senator Dibble's bill and Senator Hemmingsen-Jaeger's bill after both of them, because the comments I have would be relevant to both, I think.
So, Senator Dibble, I assume that the Rules Committee is not expecting this bill?
I haven't had no comment. Yeah, they haven't indicated to me that they're really excited to get it into rules.
So I think then we'll lay it over. Thank you.
Very good.
Senator McEwen.
You sure? Okay.
Senator McEwen, here we are in your committee room. Welcome.
I know. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I appreciate you accommodating me. I'm looking forward to driving back to Duluth tonight, so thank you very much.
Senator McEwen, go ahead and proceed with Senate File 4982. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not it. Senate File 4122.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair, members. Senate File 4122 allocates a next installment for our statewide replacement of all of the lead service lines in our state. As many of you will recall, back in 2023, we began a ambitious but very doable project to replace all of the lead service lines in our state within 10 years by 2033. We have begun that program. We put a down payment to begin that of $240 million. That program is now up and running and humming. It is doing excellent work. The mapping, a lot of that is done, and a lot of the work is now underway. So what we're asking for is to maximize the efficiency, to maximize the cost that we are as the people of Minnesota are paying to get this really important critical work done. We are asking for that next installment, and that's what this bill represents, is another installment from the people of Minnesota to keep on with this work, especially right now where we are at a point where we can really maximize that efficiency. And so we're on track, and we ask for your support. And Madam Chair, I do have an A1 amendment, and also
Senator
an A2.
McEwen has a A1 author's amendment. All those in favor of the A1 amendment, say aye. What's the matter? I think we can adopt this, and then we adopt this.
The amendment to the amendment.
Do we have to do the amendment to the amendment first? You don't have an A2?
I'm sorry. You can move them all in one motion.
So let's do that again. We're, Ann Johnson, Senator Ann Johnson Stewart is moving the A1 amendment to the 4122 author amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. And did you want to tell us about the A2, the A1 amendment then, Senator McEwen?
Madam Chair, I guess if you would, my understanding is that the A1 amendment, in consultation with the very large coalition that has been doing this work and moving forward this, there has been a decision to change from asking for money from the general fund to looking to the funding to come from appropriation bonds, and that the A1 amendment really sets out the process and criteria for that. But if there's counsel that wanted to elaborate on that, that's my elementary explanation for the A1.
Ms. James, did you want to add some more to that?
Madam Chair and members, the appropriation bond bills that you see are almost all the same. A lot of the language repeats from one of these bills to the next because it's not in statute for us to just cite to. So most of it is not specific to this project or to this appropriation. I direct the committee to page 4, lines 14 through 22, which is the appropriation of the proceeds, and that describes what the money is being used for.
Okay, any questions? Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have an amendment if now is the right time to offer it.
Just let me see if there's any questions from anyone in the committee. And then we have testifiers before we offer amendments. Okay, let's hear from our testifiers. Mr. James Lerner, are you in person or online? Person, all right, come forward. Welcome to the committee, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Pappas and members. My name is James Lerner. I'm the Policy Associate at Conservation Minnesota. Our mission is to protect our state's environment and natural resources, including our waters. And with that in mind, I'm here today to speak in support of Senate File 4122. Simply put, I think we've heard this before, there's no safe amount of lead for humans to consume, and small amounts are even particularly harmful to children and infants. All Minnesotans need and deserve clean water in their homes, and investing in this work is one of the most impactful things this legislature can do. Since 2023, Minnesota has worked to map and replace lead service lines across the state using funds allocated by this legislature and the federal government. At that time, the state set an ambitious 10-year goal to replace every lead service line in the state. Meanwhile, the EPA's updated lead and copper rule, which was reaffirmed earlier this year, sets a national deadline of 2037 to replace every lead pipe in the country. Either way, we think the message is clear that this work must get done. While initial funding has been largely spent down, the Minnesota Department of Health estimates that there are nearly 90,000 confirmed lead service lines still needing to be replaced, a number which could increase as the inventorying and mapping work continues. Clean water is an issue that touches every corner and every community in our state. As environmentalists, we like to say that for people to care about their local lakes, rivers, and streams, they first need to trust the water running through their tap. It's with that in mind that we strongly support Senate File 4122 and the continued funding for the lead service line replacement program.
Thank you, Mr. Lerner. Any questions for Mr. Lerner? Then let's have Rachel Vasky come forward, and then also Mr. Thorson, why don't you also come forward? And between the two of you, we have the Mayor of Winona. Welcome, Ms. Vasky, and please introduce yourself for the tape.
Hi, thank you, Chair and committee members. My name is Raquel Vasky. I serve as the General Manager for St. Paul Regional Water Services. I know I've had the opportunity to very briefly introduce the topic for this group before. I'm hopeful that you have our detailed handout this time, and I'd really like to just walk you through a little bit of that.
I love the term humming along. That's a good summary. However, I'd counter and say that we've actually reached a peak moment in St. Paul Regional Water Services. We're 4 years into this work. We've seen our bid costs from contractors coming down. A lot of that comes from development and meetings that we've had with them to identify where they saw risk, where we could eliminate it, where we could collaborate more, where we could order supplies in advance, equipment in advance. We've also built out a significant workforce program tied to this. It's part of the build-up program here, but we have over 30 employees working for St. Paul Regional Water Services tied to this program, as well as hundreds of employees working for local contractors. I know we talked a bit about the original plan of 10 years back in 2023, 2024. At that rate, and that's the bar chart you see in front of you, that's still our goal. That would be our dream if the money was there. We are capable of delivering that project by 2032. The good and bad news is that the EPA took a few years to put the 10-year plan into place. So really now we have until 2037 to work on that. And because this is such an expensive project, I think that's good news for us. It can help us buy a little bit more time to continue to advocate at a federal level. So far of the total funding received or spent in Minnesota on lead, the state has spent about 40% of it and the federal funds covered about 60%. I'd hope we can continue to advocate together to have that be the pattern moving forward. The chart on the right helps to show you, and I know that Chad, who will speak here soon, has every city in the state who has lead coming towards him for buckets of money. St. Paul Regional Water Services bottom line, if we want this done before 2037, is about $23 million per year if we spread it out evenly over the next 11. So significant project, and we're thankful for all the time you've spent considering it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all your work on getting rid of the lead. We appreciate it. Any questions for Ms. Vasky? Okay, then Mayor of Winona, Mr. Scott Sherman, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair Pappas, Minority Leader Housley, and members of the committee. My name is Scott Sherman. I'm the mayor of the city of Winona. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on Senate File 4122 to provide our strong support for sustained investment in the lead line replacement program. Winona was founded in 1851, and it has a lot of older housing stock. We have identified over 2,500 service lines that need replacement. We've created a plan to remove the lines over the next decade. The cost to replace the service line, each service line, is estimated at $25,000. Last year, Winona sought funding for the replacement of 249 lead lines at the estimated cost of $5.6 million. We were approved for that funding and are very thankful to the legislature for stepping up in 2023 to provide that initial funding. Unfortunately, that only covers about 10% of the pipes that we need to remove. Winona is not unique. Cities across Minnesota, both rural and metro, are preparing to remove their lead lines, but we can't get it done without substantial and consistent funding from the state. Funding delays only lead to cost increases. That's why we think it's very important that the legislature make a substantial investment in replacing lead lines this year. I am concerned that without consistent funding, taxpayers of Winona will not be able to afford the cost to replace these lines. Affordability is a concern for our taxpayers, especially for those that need the replacement the most. I thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mayor Sherman. Are there any questions for the mayor? Then thank you for your work on the lead service line replacements. Then we have Mr. Thorson. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Chair Pappas, members of the committee. For the record, my name is John Thorson. I'm Legislative Director for LiUNA, Minnesota, North Dakota. We're Minnesota's infrastructure union, representing more than 14,000 skilled construction laborers who maintain roadways, bridges, and the basic utilities that communities throughout the state count on. Here to support Senate File 4122, and would first like to thank Senator McEwen first for carrying the bills that created the program to remove lead pipes throughout the state, I believe first beginning in 21 and every session since. It created Minnesota's nation-leading program and effort to invest in the removal of
lead service lines by 2033, and to provide the funding necessary to ensure that cities could map, identify, and replace lead pipes both in the public right-of-way, which they own, and the 70% of service lines on private property. So the initial state investments of $243 million in the resources, I think it was about $215 million from the IIJA, were necessary to support this work. The reason that appropriation bonds or cash are necessary for the work going forward is because of the amount of pipes that exist on private property, and general obligation bonds can't be used for that. The work that's being done through this program happens at no cost to the property owner, and that's important for compliance to get these removed. And it's also important because the folks that live in that property don't always own that property, and it's an important piece for making these, removing these pipes and getting them out. The last of the state funding is extinguished through the 26 construction season. I believe it's about $147 million worth of projects were approved with the state funding and the federal funding, and there were quite a bit more requests than were able to be approved, and in fact most projects received a cut and perhaps as little as 10% of what it would take going forward. We believe there's about a final disbursement from IIJA for next year to fund the 27 construction season, somewhere between $61 and $71 million. What we're asking for is to have state resources to allow for an adequate 27 construction season so we can continue on pace as for removal. So between that's the delta between the 71 million and the 147 million. It's important because contractors that are in this work train a workforce for doing this. They also end up investing in equipment as well. So if you have contractors that are either either in the earth work to sewer and water space, have moved maybe from the sewer and water space to the lead service line space, we want to keep them working on these projects here. And as the federal government has now placed a deadline for all pipes in the nation to be removed by 2037, that means our neighbors, our surrounding states, are starting to gear up. We want to stay ahead of our neighbors on this. As states and regions that get water right, I think, are going to win the century. It's where folks are going to want to come to live, have businesses, and thrive. So the bottom line is the legislature must take action so there is an adequate 27 construction season so we can stay on pace. The need is too great. It's too urgent for us to let up. And as Senator McEwen likes to remind us, there just is no safe level of lead in drinking water. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Thorson? And thank you so much for your testimony, and thank you for all the work that your workers are doing to give us clean water. Mr. Chad Kolstad from the Public Facilities Authority on Zoom, welcome.
Thank you. Chair Pappas, committee members, thank you for the opportunity to testify about lead again. It's very much a passion to me. I just want to start out by saying with the combination of the state and federal funds that we were provided in Minnesota, we have created one of the top LSL replacement programs in the U.S. So the program is working. We're replacing lead service lines across the state. Contractors are feeling more comfortable with the program, so prices are stabilizing and even dropping in many cases. We still have a lot of work to do. We have 87,000 lead service lines in Minnesota. We still have 210,000 that need to be identified. 462 out of 976 community water systems in the state have lead service lines, at least one lead service line. About 56,000 of those known lead service lines are in Minneapolis and St. Paul alone. This is a statewide issue. EPA regulations, as you've heard, will require all lead service lines to be replaced by 2037. In order to do so, we're going to need approximately $150 million to meet that deadline per year. We have enough state and federal funds basically to get us through the 2026 construction season and a little bit into 27 construction season, but we fall far short of the $150 million needed to keep this moving into 2027. Without a constant stream of funding, contractors are going to start leaving Minnesota to work in other states that also have lead service line replacement needs. If this happens, there's going to be a significant cost to get those contractors back. We've been blessed that we've gotten ahead of a lot of the other states, and we have like some very good contractors working in Minnesota. And every year we delay funding for this program, it's just going to cost more in the future. And we still have to face a 2037 deadline. So we appreciate your opportunity to hear about this bill, and it's just really important that we fund this. It provides jobs, but more importantly, ensures safe drinking water throughout Minnesota. And I'd happily take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kolstad, and I actually do need to move the committee along a little bit more fast. I don't think we'll be able to finish quite by 5, but as close as after that as we can, we should. So any questions for Mr. Kolstad? Then, Senator Rasmussen, do you want to offer your amendment? Is it the A3?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'd like to move the A3 amendment, and I'm happy to describe the amendment.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The A3 amendment would simply add a reporting requirement. I believe when we have issued appropriation bonds in the past, we've simply required Minnesota Management and Budget to report back to the chairs and ranking members of the legislative committees having jurisdiction over capital investment on the status of the bonds that are authorized in the section. And that's important for us to know how many bonds have been sold, what's the amount outstanding, maturity dates, debt service, and is just information that we need as we look at future capital investment bills.
Any questions on the amendment? Senator McEwen.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Senator Rasmussen. Just for the committee's knowledge, I think this is a great amendment, and I would see it as a friendly addition to the bill.
All those in favor of, Senator Rasmussen moves the A3 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. Senator Ann Johnson Stewart.
Thank you. Oops. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have the A2 amendment. Members, this is in your packet.
Go ahead with your description.
All right, so the simple amendment is needed to keep the lead line replacement program operating in the same manner as we face a loss of federal funds. When Minnesota created its nation-leading lead line replacement program in 2023, we acknowledged that our cities and residents were already facing ever-increasing drinking water and sewer costs that are driving up rates across the state, and that our communities could not afford the additional burden of replacing these pipes. The program was structured so these pipes would be replaced at no cost to the city or the homeowner. However, at that time, Minnesota was receiving federal funding in addition to our investment. To comply with federal law, the appropriation for the public portion of these lines was structured as a forgivable loan. But now, because the federal funds are disappearing, it is necessary for us to change this language so that the program can continue to operate as it has been. This change also provides the PFA more flexibility now and into the future if additional federal funds are provided with different requirements. And finally, it will ensure that the dollars are distributed equitably amongst all water systems, regardless of who owns the water service lines. Without this change, water systems where the whole service line is privately owned would get 100% grant, and those with split ownership would get a lesser grant proposal or percentage. This change was proposed by the PFA and Interim Executive Director Chad Kolstad, and he's available for questions. But if you can see, Madam Chair, on line 116, this amendment simply changes the amount that grant money is available for is up to 100% of the cost.
Do members have any questions about this amendment, or would you like to hear from Mr. Kolstad? Senator, Mr. Kolstad, and we'll get to you. Mr. Kolstad, go ahead briefly, though.
Yeah, I can just add, committee member, Chair Pappas, committee members. Yeah, basically what
Senator Ann Johnson Stewart said, with the loss of federal funds, this amendment just basically helps us restructure the program a little bit, so we're able to continue to basically provide funding at no cost to the homeowner and no cost to the water system itself.
Thank you. Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Johnson Stewart. I also view the A2 as a friendly amendment and would
And
be
Senator
pleased to
Rasmussen.
adopt it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess one concern I have with this is, we talked about the limited resources and the need that exceeds those resources that we have currently. And so I worry by removing any type of potential match, whether that come from the federal government or a local match, that those resources will be basically more concentrated and will actually result in fewer lead service lines being replaced. And so that's just one concern I have with this language. Just whenever we have a program that is oversubscribed, I think one of the ways that we can make our state dollars go further is by requiring local matches, by requiring going after federal funds to try to get these projects done.
Mr. Colstead, I'm sure that there is going after federal funds going on. Do you have any knowledge about that?
Yeah, Chair Pappas, we always are kind of keeping our eye, like our ears to the ground to hear what's kind of happening in DC. We haven't heard any rumors yet of any future federal funding for lead, but being as there's the national requirement to replace lead service lines by 2037, we're pretty certain there will have to be future lead service line funding. I think the biggest concern with this bill is that, one city may be able to get 100% grant for the residents just because of their ownership type, and another would not. There'd have to be a cost share by the municipality. It just doesn't seem like an equitable way to do this. So that's the justification behind the bill.
Senator Johnson Stewart, did you want to say anything else?
No, I really defer to the experts in this area. So,
members, do we want to pass this amendment? Do we want to think about it some more? Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One question for Mr. Kolstad. It's my understanding that the federal funding would continue through this year and next year. Is that correct, or what's the timeline on federal funding?
Mr. Kolstad.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Senator. So basically, IIJA was 5 years of funding. We just applied for year 4 of the 5 years. So next year we will be applying for the final year of the funding. It's kind of weird because the federal fiscal years don't quite align with the state fiscal years. But yes, we're basically into year 4 of our funding.
Senator Rasmussen, one possibility is we could put a sunset date on this. I think the idea is to try to keep the program going as is and not have to perhaps interrupt any funding because programmatic changes have to be made. But we could put a sunset on it pending and check it and look at it again next year to see how the federal funding is looking. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I'm hearing from Mr. Kolstad is that while this language may be needed in the future, it won't be needed for at least a couple years, given the fact that there will be federal funding. And so I would say, instead of adopting this amendment today, let's see what happens. And we're not going to need this language this year. We're not going to need it next year. And if it looks like there will not be federal funding for lead service lines, then we can take a look at this. And because this isn't changing bonding language for general obligation bonds, a simple majority can pass this off the House or Senate floor, so it's not like it would require a big 4-caucus deal to get done.
Senator Johnson Stewart, did you want to hold your amendment then?
yeah, I will.
Withdraw your amendment?
Well, can I ask the testifier, Mr. Kolstad, I'd just like to know if he's okay with that, presuming that there would be lead pipe advocates on the bonding committee in 2 years.
Mr. Kolstad.
Yes, Madam Chair, Senator. Yes, I think. It comes down to a matter of, as we kind of get down to the last dollars that are available to work with, it's just starting to be a balancing game of how we
match the federal dollars with the state dollars. And this bill just kind of gives us that leverage to be flexible so we don't get tied to a certain set of dollars when we kind of get to the end of the program. Because we are it's kind of a balancing act across the whole time. So this just gives us flexibility. I like the idea if there's concerns about a sunset date. I just think it might make it, I don't want to tie the PFA's hands too much as we kind of come down to the last year and a half, basically, of funding.
Senator Ann Johnson-Stewart.
Madam Chair, Mr. Kolstad, I wonder if deferring for a year would be okay. I still am in favor of the amendment. The reality is that most of the people, I think you may remember me standing up on the floor last year, one of the last days, talking about where the communities are that have housing stock that's typically older than 1960, which is when, or 1970, can't remember the year, but it's mostly rural communities. So these are the communities that are the least able to match. And frankly, based on demographics, there are residents that are least able to pay. When you think about a lead service line costing $25,000, who wants to pay that? And frankly, who has the money to pay it, even if they think it's a great idea? It is a great idea because lead pipes cause lead in water, and that's a bad thing. So I think this is an equity issue, and we're just trying to plan forward. At the most, I mean, presuming I'm here next year, we'll see what the voters say, but I will bring this up next year because hearing loud and clear that federal money is going away, I really don't have much faith it's going to come back, but I think responsibly, the most we can put this off is a year. So I'm okay with deferring it for 1 year, but I promise if I'm on this committee next year, I'll be bringing it up again.
Okay. The amendment A2 then is laid over. And the entire bill is laid over. Thank you so much, Senator McEwen.
Thank you very much.
Senator Kunesh. Yeah. Okay. Senator Kunesh, welcome to the committee, and go ahead and present your bill, Senate File Council Document SC 4257-1.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this is a council document, and it's mostly, it is a technical correction to ensure that previously appropriated dollars can be used as they were intended. It doesn't increase any funding, but it does clarify how existing dollars can be applied to complete the project. The original language itemized specific repairs, which then can unintentionally limit project delivery once design and cost estimates are finalized. This update aligns the appropriation with standard Minnesota capital investment practices, and it allows full project delivery from the design through the construction. This fix ensures compliance with state building standards, accurate alignment with final project costs, and efficient and accountable project management.
And we have Ms. Reimers on Zoom to make some brief comments. Thank you, Senator Kunesh. Go ahead, Ms. Reimers.
Thank you, Senator, and good afternoon, Chair Pappas and committee members. My name is Sherry Reimers. I'm the president and CEO, and I'm here on behalf of Ain Dah Yung Center, located here in St. Paul, not too far away. I'm in support of this bill. The proposal is a technical correction, as Senator Kunesh explained. It does not increase the funding. Instead, it ensures that the dollars are already appropriated and can be used to complete the project as intended. The project is well underway. We're 2/3 complete. And it also clarifies that the youth lodge is a core part of the project, ensuring the full scope can move forward without delay. Or the need for future legislative fixes. All the expenditures remain subject to existing state oversight, grant requirements, audit standards. At the core of this bill, the bill protects the legislature's original investment and ensuring the project can be completed effectively and responsibly.
I think it's really important. We're looking to remove the youth lodge from the language. And I think if, I would thank you for your time and consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Reimers. Are there any questions for Ms. Reimers or for Senator Kunesh? Then thank you very much. This modification will be laid over.
Lovely, thank you.
Senator Dibble, emergency shelters. I don't have that bill either. Yeah. I didn't grab all my bills. I've been putting them here as I finish. It's weird. Senator Dibble, Senate File 4971.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members, for the opportunity to present Senate File 4971. This is a bill that would establish a statewide emergency shelter facility grant program to, of course, save lives and create the foundation for long-term stability for some of our most vulnerable Minnesotans. Madam Chair, we made historic progress through the Pathway Home Act in 2023 with this and related investments, and we began to address a system that had long been underfunded and overlooked. And these were very transformative, but they were also just the beginning of what we now understand was a catch-up effort. So, Madam Chair, I'll skip ahead and just describe the bill itself. It creates a new program and statute to make strategic statewide capital investments in emergency shelter infrastructure, to establish a grant program administered by the Commissioner of Human Services. There would be dedicated accounts in both the general fund and the bond proceeds fund to support projects. These are capital projects only. Eligible applicants would include tribal governments, nonprofit organizations, cities, counties, and housing and redevelopment authorities. The eligible uses would be high-impact capital investments that expand and improve shelter capacity by converting existing buildings, expanding existing shelters and adding beds, constructing new shelter facilities, addressing deferred maintenance and critical safety upgrades, and improving accessibility, sanitation, and habitability. A key feature of the bill is statewide equity and access of at least 40% of the funding reserved for Greater Minnesota. Grants can fund up to 100% of project costs, up to $1 million per project. Madam Chair, in the interest of time, I'll just mention briefly, there was a discussion about appropriation bonds, and what this bill envisions would be to be paired with another bill that I had introduced that's not before us, but that is Senate File 4888, which would envision establishing some proceeds from appropriation bonds for this purpose. I can't remember how much for, just glancing at it now, but that's where the appropriation bond piece would come in. Appropriation bonds, again, are a great discussion. I'm of two minds when it comes to appropriation bonds, of course, and of course we don't get out of, the MMB guidelines just because something is appropriation bonds or not. It still has some effect and impact on our overall GO bonding program. With that, we have someone who can talk about why supporting this initiative and bolstering our emergency shelter capital grant program would be important to do.
Welcome, Mr. Trainer. Please introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Hello, Chair Pappas and committee members. My name is Matt Trainer. I am the Executive Director with the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless. We are a statewide organization with the mission to end homelessness in Minnesota, and I'd like to say we receive zero of the funds that we advocate for. As Senator Dibble said, the legislature did pass $100 million in one-time funding for shelters in 2023. That money was able to create 1,450 new and improved shelter beds, and 50% of the funds were in the metro, and 50% of the funds went to Greater Minnesota. And while that was a great start to addressing the need, it's important to note that there was over $365 million in requests. So starting in 2016, MCH, Coalition for the Homeless, we held listening sessions throughout the entire state, which led us to launching an unsheltered homelessness campaign
to advocate for a stronger homeless response system. At the core of this system is temporary housing known as emergency shelters. Now, in order to try and simplify what lawmakers needed to know, we utilized the message, shelter saves lives and housing ends homelessness. It was effective, but it doesn't tell the whole story. When you think of the lives being saved, please understand that shelters are also at the starting point to long-term stability. Now, to share some proof of what can happen when we give people an opportunity to work on their goals, MCH, we operate a lived experience fellowship that creates a space for individuals who have lived without a place to call their own. And the accomplishments that we've achieved together is due to the fellows sharing their skills, experience, and talents into our shared advocacy. I mention this because if we want Minnesota to be a state where individuals and families can thrive, the legislature needs to believe in people who have been homeless just as much as we do. That's exactly what this legislation is trying to accomplish, providing temporary housing where individuals and families can move from surviving to longer-term stability. Now, to ensure you all have a few examples of what some of that $100 million was able to do, I want to focus on a few shelters and districts of committee members in Greater Minnesota particularly. So Mahabi-Atwa Community Action in Otter Tail created tiny homes with 8 new beds and a focus on veterans. Community Action Council in Rice County is developing 2 buildings that will include 6 workforce housing units and 2 emergency shelter units. Women's Shelter Inc. in Olmsted created 71 new beds, improved 31, and ensured it was pet friendly. And then Family Promise in Anoka County converted a hotel to create 29 new beds and improve 15. So I want to thank Senator Dibble for carrying this bill and being a longstanding champion for youth homelessness, and thank you all for considering the legislation.
Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate you being here today. Any questions from members of the committee? Then thank you, and thank you, Senator Dibble. And then we're going to do our last bill today, Senator Hemmingsen-Jaeger. What? Oh, yeah, we laid over that last bill. Laid over.
Oh, and Madam Chair, I did.
Sorry, Senator Dibble, did you want any final comments?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just thought I'd mention Senate File 4888. These appropriation bond bills are hard to read. They're not written like regular bonding bills. I found the number. It was $47 million that was proposed in appropriation bonds.
What was the number?
$47 million. Yeah.
Oh, $47 million, but the number was still 4888.
Is the Senate file number. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. No, he had another bill with appropriation bonds. That's what he was talking about. Senator Hemmingsen-Jaeger. We did start this discussion a little bit, so happy to continue it now for a few more minutes. Senate File 4982.
Thank you. As you're getting set up. First, I just want to kind of reorient you guys. Did you guys get screenshots of the Oregon Trail mainframe? Yeah? Okay. I went back to like 3rd grade, 4th grade looking at these. But it just kind of highlights kind of like this is what our county workers are looking at. There's no like mouse to navigate. It's all like keystrokes. So when we talk about like the struggles that our county workers are facing, these are the screens that they're looking at. So it's kind of tricky. I heard Representative Frederick in the House talk about we are working on like, we have a smartphone kind of world, but we're working like a really old system, so it's just hard to navigate. But on to the bill. So thank you so much for hearing this and for your patience. I know I'm preventing you guys from dinner and getting home, so thank you so much for your attention. So we talked about MAXIS. This is one of the many systems that DCYF, DHS, and our state employees and our county workers use. This particular system helps with a number of benefits, including food assistance, so our SNAP, our emergency assistance programs, and our medical assistance programs. More than 500,000 Minnesotans are affected by the determinations that MAXIS makes. It's linked to all 87 counties, so all of our benefits and eligibility determinations are uniform throughout the state. The system, was rolled out in 1989, which was my younger sister's birthday, or the year she was born. And back then it was the premier technology, but as you can see with these screens, imagine how clunky and outdated, labor intensive this is. And this contributes to our payment error rates. So something we also need to be sensitive about with the new federal regulations coming down. This bill 4982 would fund a MAXIS overhaul by appropriating $10 million from the general fund in fiscal years 27 through 36 to make payments on the certificates of participation issued by MMB for this project. So again, kind of another creative avenue. I am a scientist, so when we're brainstorming and thinking creatively, I really like to think creatively, and then we can kind of combine and talk and really narrow it down to what the best solution is from there. These certificates of participation are a unique financing tool, less like traditional debt, more like a lease-to-own agreement. MMB is not selling state debt to fund this. They're instead selling the certificates of participation, which are long-term agreements to pay back an investment with interest. Like I said, they're unique, but they're not new. They were used to finance the accounting and procuring systems in 2009, the Senate building in 2012, and the state office building in 2023. So I will keep us moving. We have a very short presentation here from Mr. Hilgard, and I do want to thank him for his help. I also want to point out the letter from my own county worker, Jen Castillo, who not only is in charge of this kind of system now, but she actually worked with the system for 30 years. So wealth of knowledge there. And I want to thank Mr. Fisher, Ms. James, for your help in all of this research and helping me along with this. So thank you.
Madam Chair.
Welcome to the committee, and welcome back, Mr. Hilgard, and go ahead and proceed.
Madam Chair, members. This video is approximately 30 minutes, so I hope you all don't mind that joke, of course.
The sergeants are going to be in here any minute and kicking us out.
It will be quick. I saw a look from Senator Jasinski. But what you're seeing right now on this screen is a MAXIS interface. So this is no joke. You saw screenshots before that were a little bit more playful in nature. But this is, for those unfamiliar, a DOS-based screen. And guess what? We have systems that are COBOL-based screens as well. This is not the only system that we operate. You'll see some of the ages of these systems up on the screen in front of you. And Senator Rasmussen made a really good point earlier on this evening, which is that the state has been derelict in providing us the tools we need to actually do the jobs that you vest us with. It is a crowded field, and I get it. IT technology is not very glamorous to invest in, but it is so core to the functions that we do. And again, these systems are infrastructure, but they're also human infrastructure. These systems are serving hundreds of thousands of Minnesotans, your constituents, calling each and every day saying, where are we on this wait list for Medicaid eligibility? Where are we for cash assistance? Where are we on SNAP application? And one thing I will say that I think will show just everyone the disservice that we have is when someone is applying for cash or for SNAP applications, they are going to MN Benefits online. They're going through an application on an online portal. They think it's great. They've submitted their application. It's going electronically to the counties. But what's happening is counties are actually printing those applications and re-entering them on these systems. So we really appreciate the work that Senator Hemmingsen-Jaeger has done here, the homework that she's done on these systems. I know everyone on this committee, if not close to everyone on this committee, has seen these systems up close in their counties. A few of you here have even put in these applications yourself. And so I thank you for your attention this evening, and I thank you for all the bipartisan support we've received and the bipartisan sympathy. We are open to any creative idea that pushes this forward, and we think that this bill merits consideration as well. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Hilgard, and Senator Amanda for being creative and trying to come up with some help for this project. Senator Rasmussen, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick comment. I would say again, I totally agree that upgrading MAXIS is very important. We should do it. We should do it now. We should have done it yesterday. I guess my concern is this is basically the state issuing debt that's not backed by the full faith and credit of the state, unlike GO bonds. And I think we should do that very sparingly. And the main reason for it is that there's actually quite a bit of risk around it. If these bonds, like appropriation bonds, are issued and a future legislature decides not to pay those bonds, that becomes an issue. And the reason that general obligation bonds are able to get a lower interest rate is because there's a mechanism that if the legislature failed to appropriate money to pay for the bonds, the bondholders have a mechanism to recoup what's owed to them, unlike these certificates of participation or appropriation bonds. And so, again, while this is important, and I think we should do it, I don't know if borrowing to do it using this mechanism is the most prudent.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to add, yes, we all know how antiquated these systems are and the amount of time. I also think it's hard to recruit people to work on these old type of DOS systems. So I get that, and I'm very supportive of getting these updated yesterday. But the one thing I wanted to note, I was recalling in 2011, we had some similar issues with things that needed costly IT, but we didn't have a lot of money. You might recall we had quite a deficit then. And so I was just reviewing some of the legislation that passed in the 2011 special session. Full disclosure, they were my bills. I guess that's why I'm familiar with them. But regardless, I think the idea might be a possibility. This was the performance, pay for performance. You might recall we did pay for performance for smart buildings, so that the IT companies that would bid on helping keep our buildings safe in this state, we have thousands, tens of thousands of them that is owned, they had to be so confident that their systems would actually reduce costs for the state, and they got paid out of the back end of the savings. And that was highly successful. And then also we did that for Medicaid fraud detection and prevention. And so I looked up the language of those bills. There's some small, I think, I'd like to examine the pay for performance piece similar to what we did in 2011, which would actually get the help that we need now. But of course that means, and this would be on the statewide general contracts that we have, the statewide contracts. So something to consider going forward. But the bottom line is we need to get these fixed now, and we don't have the money. And so let's look at those vendors who have so much faith in their project that they, should they win the bid, would do these projects and get saved out of the back end of the savings. I think that's a possibility.
That's an idea, too.
Yes.
Senator Hemmingsen-Jaeger, any final comments?
I really appreciate the interest. I really appreciate the bipartisanship and looking out for our Minnesotans needing the help and also providing the help and working through the eligibility. Like I said, I'm open to all ideas, and these are exactly the conversations we need when we think about trade-offs and costs and benefits and what the best path is to move forward and hopefully quickly. So thank you so much.
Thank you, members, and thank you to the sergeant staff and the Highway Patrol, Capitol Security that stayed a little longer for us. The lights are going dim now, I see. And I'll see you all back. We will meet again when we have a bonding bill in front of us. Meeting is adjourned.